All right, with that being said, let's move on from the good old days. Let's come crashing into the present. I got a little gamer news for you. You might have seen the news. PlayStation is cutting around 900 plus staff worldwide, about 8% of its entire workforce. So 8% of their workforce getting laid off. Woo. Specifically PlayStation 2, not just Sony. And I gotta admit, when I saw this news, I found it pretty disturbing, honestly. I don't take any joy in this, even as much of a Nintendo fanboy as I've been over the years. You know, young me might have been really happy to see this news, but I think I'm a little unnerved seeing this at this point. It's got me kind of on edge. I saw this on Reddit too, just at press time, just before we were about to start. I saw this picture here of the outgoing CEO, visiting one of the offices that it closed, the London office, and I guess 6 days before it closed, he came around and everybody got their photos and stuff. Now that guy's on the way out, and one of the last things he did on the way out was send an email about the layoffs and everything. So it's tough stuff, man. You know, very serious real world repercussions, and folks losing their jobs, and dark stuff. We're going to get into a quote from this story here. This was from that outgoing CEO. He said, "We need to deliver on expectations from developers and gamers and continue to propel future technology in gaming. So we took a step back to ensure we are set to continue bringing the best gaming experiences to the community."
No good.
So he blamed it on the gamers here. Blamed it on us, basically. Tried to do it subtly, but nah, there's a little bit of blame for us, I think, if you read between the lines. As I continue to read the story, though, this one really stood out to me. This is the last quote I'll pull from it. A separate statement from Sony Interactive Europe, SIE, also confirmed that Insomniac Games, Naughty Dog, Guerrilla, and PlayStation's technology, creative, and support teams will also be impacted by a reduction in workforce. I found this to be really sad. There's a couple of really huge franchises on there, including one that I'm going to get into in just a second. I'm having my doubts about this, but no, I'm absolutely right. Naughty Dog, when I saw that, I had to look something up. Naughty Dog, when I saw this, I was like, dude, Naughty Dog, Insomniac Games. I know these are some huge studios. Instantly came to mind Crash Bandicoot when I saw Naughty Dog, and I want to tell you why this unnerves me. Okay, I'm going to play a video for you guys from Crash Bandicoot. Many people's introduction to Crash Bandicoot. In fact,
Hey, plumber boy, mustache man, your worst nightmare has arrived.
Pack up your stuff. I got a little surprise for you here.
Okay, so there's a whole lot going on already. We got a commercial that started. Sorry for the graphic. This was up on the screen when it began. It's clear now. But right off the bat, you've got Crash Bandicoot, this new character. We didn't know who the fuck this guy was. Keep in mind, he's in a mascot outfit. He's walking around with a bullhorn, and he has shown up to none other than the Nintendo headquarters. So Naughty Dog, you know, inventors of Crash Bandicoot, the first salvo fired in the console wars of that generation, Nintendo 64 and PlayStation, right? The first shots of the war being fired right in this video that you're seeing. Let's just let it play out, then I'll talk about it.
Hey, plumber boy, mustache man, your worst nightmare has arrived.
Pack up your stuff. I got a little surprise for you here.
Check it out. What do you think about that? You got real-time, 3D, lush organic environments. How's that make you feel, buddy?
Feel a little like your days are numbered? I'm gonna have to ask you to leave.
Do you hear that, Mario?
Is that Italian? No, Bandicoot is an Australian name.
Also, subtle way of telling the North American audience what a bandicoot is there at the end, with the security guard asking if that name is, what do you say, Italian? And he says, no, it's Australian. So, yeah, I feel like that was a nice way to make sure we, the audience, could feel smart with that information, that many of us had no idea what a bandicoot was, because at least the people around me, we were kids. So you've got Naughty Dog, the folks that brought us Crash Bandicoot, and again, the studio that fired the first shots in that particular console war. You've got these guys getting a bunch of them getting laid off. The studio is not in good shape after all this. It's got me upset. Now, I served 2 tours in the console wars. I absolutely got it twice. I've been a Nintendo fanboy pretty much my whole life, but got made fun of heavily by the Genesis kids in the Super Nintendo era, and then again in the next generation, all the Sony kids. You know, had a kid try to beat me up at church because I told him the Nintendo 64 was better. And you know, I guess for speaking your mind, that's what you get, you know, and for being correct. All that aside, though, I want to stay neutral as much as I can. I don't understand why there aren't more people talking about this, man. And it just worries me because nobody likes war. The console wars, they had their casualties. It was not good. And I don't lightly sit here and talk about how, well, maybe during the console wars things were better. That's not easy to say. I'm only doing a thought experiment here. But I can't help but think, though, that as terrible as war is, you gotta think about some of the innovations that come out of conflict, right? Some of the funding, some of the inventions that come out of a war being fought. Think about the moon landing, right? We wouldn't have been on the moon if it hadn't been for the Cold War. America and Soviet Union in a space race put a person on the moon eventually. Cold War sucks. It's cool that we got to the moon, right? Synthetic rubber, jet engines, blood transfusions. These are all things that came out of warfare, inventions or new technologies that came out of war. War sucks. War is hell. But there is a positive side to it, I guess. And again, as a veteran of 2 console wars in the 90s, I don't like seeing Naughty Dog on that list. I don't like seeing them being one of these studios that's on its way out. It doesn't feel good. All right? It doesn't fire me up. But I'll tell you this, guys. Another console war pops off, the last thing you're going to be worried about are layoffs. That's the last of our worries. Okay? We get another big console war like what we had a couple times in the 90s. These companies are going to be increasing their budgets. They're going to be hiring more. They're going to be bringing more studios in. They're going to be bringing third-party studios in under their wing. You're not going to have the entire London office getting shut down. PlayStation's going to be, trying to project their power all across the world. So again, I don't do this lightly, and I'm not calling for a war. I don't want this thing to go hot. We don't want another console war. But a Cold War could be good for business. And I feel for these folks that got laid off. And maybe a cold console war, the threat of it always going hot. The threat just always looming on the distance. Total annihilation. Maybe it can happen, maybe it won't. But it's always looming off in the distance. That's when these companies get their shit straight. They hire more workers, they expand, and we the consumers benefit. So just something to think about. Again, none of this is easy to say. I got my battle scars. But what do we do? What is our recourse at this point? We got folks getting fired, and these companies are going down the tubes. I don't know. I'm not saying I want it, but if another console war got started, maybe it wouldn't be the worst thing. Just something to think about. Yeah. Last but not least, I want to flip to one more story here. You might have seen this one. I caught this one on Reddit this morning. One hell of an update, that's a quote, makes Doom playable on the Husqvarna Automower. I'd never seen that term. I'd never was never familiar with this company. I only was able to understand what an automower is by deduction, by understanding some prefixes. I don't have a yard. I don't have a yard to cut. I don't have a lawnmower. I wouldn't need one. But if I did have one, I would want that thing to have Doom on it. And apparently that's what these folks down at Husqvarna have done. And yeah, they put Doom. They put Doom on their system, on their auto mowers. Thought this was pretty crazy. I've got a launch video if you guys would like to see this. Just give me 1 second.
"30 years since its initial unleashing. Doom returns.
It's back, baby. Doom never
But
left.
this time, in your backyard. Prepare to mow down the legions of hell.
Fuck yeah.
Doom Husqvarna. Playable on Husqvarna robotic lawnmowers. Worldwide release April 2024.
Very cool that they got the literal spawn of Satan to do the voiceover for that ad there. Very cool. Yeah, so Husqvarna, right? These auto mowers, which by the way, in the comments, everyone was like, I had no idea it was pronounced that way. These mad lads have gone and put Doom on their auto mowers, their automatic lawn mowing machines, if you will. Now, as usual, the good folks over on Reddit did not actually click the link. It seems many of them didn't. Because if they had, they would have noticed the markets that it said it's available in. And I squinted, I looked all over the place, and I didn't see United States. I didn't see Canada. I don't see Mexico. So no Northern American representation here, you know? And again, like I said, kind of surprising, I guess, that the Reddit, at least the first couple comments didn't pick up on this. But yeah, it hasn't come to North America. So any of you trying to invest in an auto mower, I think you're kind of out of luck, or at least one that can play Doom, which would probably be the best auto mowers. And if they're not going to put this thing in North America, I'm calling on John Deere tractors to get this shit figured out. I want Doom, not just on these giant, harvesters or combines or whatever. I want it on the little rinky-dink riding lawnmower too that your grandma has. We need to find a way to make these things backwards compatible. I mean, the game Doom's been out forever. It can't be that tough. But I'm just saying, if anybody from John Deere, or I was trying to think of some of the other big lawnmower companies, and I remember them, but I'm from like the Southeast. John Deere is, for some people, like built into their identity, and that's just my go-to lawnmower when I need to think of one. And I'm going to call on them. I'm going to call on them to get this figured out. It seems like there's a big open market here in North America to put Doom on your lawnmower. So John Deere's got to get their shit straight. They need to get this figured out. And I think if they do, they've got some money on their hands. And if they can't do Doom, I'm thinking, like, if there's some kind of copyright or exclusive contract or something with Husqvarna, I'm thinking they get Duke Nukem or maybe even Dark Forces, a game we talked about earlier, Star Wars Dark Forces. Those would be great substitutes. But, yep, hope you're listening, John Deere. You need to get on that ASAP. Otherwise, Husqvarna is going to open up here in the North American market, and they're going to eat your lunch, dude. Who's riding this fucking thing? Where to go? Who's riding this if it doesn't have Doom? You know, knowing that there's another mower out there that has Doom. So it seems like a no-brainer, but I'm not a business major or anything, so I'll leave that to them. But that wraps us up for today's gamer news and our good old days. That's all we got. All right, guys, I'm going to head out. I'll see you guys back here in just a bit. Thanks for hanging out for our gamer news and good old days. That's always a good time. BRB.